Welcome to the Arc of Grace Harbor's 2023 Benefits Planning Informational Presentation. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Arc of Grace Harbor's Benefits Planning presentation. My name is Christy Childs. I'm the Information Services Director for the Arc of Grace Harbor. For those who are unfamiliar with us, the Arc of Grace Harbor is a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the lives of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families. We offer a wide range of services and support programs to help individuals achieve their full potential and lead fulfilling lives. Today, we're honored to have Dan Rutten, Senior Program Manager, and Angela Dirk, Senior Benefits Planner at WISE, here to share their expertise on benefit planning. They bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise in this field, and we're confident that their insights will be invaluable to all of us. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We hope you'll find this presentation informative and beneficial. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Dan and Angela.
Thanks so much, Christy. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Rutten. The organization we're with is WISE, and our benefit planning program is called Benefit You. And so that's what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. I oversee a lot of the kind of day-to-day operations, the call center when folks are scheduling intakes and coordination of our benefit planning services. And then Angela, I'll let you give a little intro for yourself as well.
All right, nice to meet everyone. Angela Dirk, and as the Senior Benefits Planner, I work with Dan on the project, on creation of content for the website, and then I work with our team of benefits planners and help support them as they support clients as they work on their benefit planning projects and try to figure out how they work on their questions related to benefits planning or new employment goals, whatever that may be that brings them to us.
Yeah. So tonight, what I thought would be good for us to share is a bit about Benefit You, who we're funded, who qualifies for our benefit planning services, as well as sharing some of the resources that we have on our website, because Social Security, quite frankly, it's confusing. Even when you're in it day to day, it can be really fuzzy as far as how do certain benefits work, together, and what happens, especially when there's major life changes that come up. Things like someone getting a job, someone maybe losing a job, changing their housing status, changing their relationship status, getting married, having kids or dependents. All of those things can really have, they can cause some changes in the way that a person experiences their benefits. And so our goal with Benefit You is really to help people feel prepared and that they have some resources in their pockets so that they can navigate those benefits with more confidence and step into things like employment without the fear that is often out there. There's a lot of myths around you can't work and keep your benefits, and there's a lot of ways where that's very possible. We've worked with a number of folks to help dispel some of those myths and help see how those two things can work together and work together really well and allow a person to keep things that are really crucial. Oftentimes we're talking Medicaid benefits when we're talking about that, keep things like that in place. And maybe other folks are saying, hey, I'm ready to step away from benefits. Let's talk about a plan to do that as well. Maybe some of those other benefits, like the cash benefits, that as employment is happening and earnings are coming in, maybe that check from Social Security doesn't feel quite as important as people move along. So we'll go through some of the key things on our website as well, but I think a great place to start, Angela, maybe if you want to talk a little bit about the benefit planning services we offer, because that's often where people have the most interest when they come to us first off.
So on our website, we've got a couple of drop-down bars across the top, including individuals and families. And if you do the drop-down bar, you've got service and intake scheduling. That is how you get to our home base in order to schedule a new intake. So in order to do services as far as in-depth planning, the ones that I mentioned where we support our team of planners, somebody must qualify for services with DDA or DSB. Now we can work with anybody as far as an intake. We do a 60-minute intake where you talk with myself and Dan, and we're able to chat with you about services. But as far as being able to do a long-term benefits planning, you'd want to be able to have DDA or DSB. So, however, so if you scroll down just a little further, Dan, our referral scheduling happens here. This blue link where you have new and returning customers is where the magic happens, and that's where you schedule an appointment. There is a scheduling calendar that links here. Perfect. Where you book an appointment. You've got an area for new customers or new customers that need language support, or returning customers if you come back to us at a later date, or if you have language services that you're looking for. They have a slightly longer appointment so that we can support those services. So on our service eligibility page, if you've never been through benefits planning before, we do have a link here about what to expect. Since we're a short-term service, which is a little different than when you're getting services, say from your DDA case manager or somebody else who's with you for the long term, we just wanted people to understand and what to expect from Benefit You. Since we're usually, it could be one appointment with myself and Dan, if we can answer some of those basic questions about working and Social Security. You may work with us for 2 or 3 months, but we just kind of want to give you an idea of what you would expect when you come to Benefit You. The types of questions we can and can't answer, that we're not tax specialists, that we're not legal experts. And so it's just a good overview of what we can do here and what we can help assist with.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. And I think that that's really helpful. We do get some outreach sometimes with folks looking for some of these things like tax advice or some of those legal questions. And oftentimes we'll have possibly some resources we can send folks to. There's a few really good organizations throughout the state of Washington. If folks are looking for tax advice, there's a great program that's called SHIBA, SHIBA. And those are folks that we often will direct folks to for those things that we're not able to support with. And so it's just good to know that up front. That way you've got a feel for what we can and aren't able to help out with, but our goal is to help people get connected to things too. And so, we're happy to talk to folks like Angela said, and even if it's just for kind of information and referral, that can be really helpful. Anything else on the services or intake stuff, Angela?
The only other area I know down at the bottom for maybe somebody who can't connect with us through DDA or DSB, or if you know somebody else that is looking for services who may get Social Security or is looking for other supports, there is the eligibility through maybe DVR, Plan for Work or Plan to Work. And then, did you mention SHIBA quickly, Dan?
I did. Yep.
Yeah,
I mentioned SHIBA.
SHIBA, they're trained specialists who are specialists in Medicare. There'll be an area I think Dan will get to where we have a whole resource section, and I think they're listed in there too. So resources where there are specialists in other areas, and SHIBA is one of those. So. Yeah,
and sorry, I realized when I said SHIBA earlier, I misspoke. SHIBA is the Medicare folks. VITA, VITA, is the tax folks. So sorry about that this mix up there, but just want to make sure that I clarify that. Yeah, so
it's tax season, Dan.
It's tax season, yeah. Benefit planning services, that's one of the key things that folks often start being referred over to us. They'll hear about us, hear that benefit planning services have happened for somebody they know and receive some services. And so that's the first thing that we are talking with folks about. But I think equally as much, and those services, that's things we can, sorry, let me back up, getting a little tongue-tied late in the day, folks. But some of the things that we will often help with is, sometimes you get those scary letters in the mail from Social Security and you're not quite sure what they're saying. You get a letter that says, if you don't pay back these benefits within 30 days, something is going to happen. And that can be really scary and unsettling for folks who don't really know what that process looks like. And so things like helping to resolving overpayments or figuring out what your options might be for those things. Maybe you get a letter that says something in your Medicaid benefit is changing and that you're going to have to find another pathway to find that benefit. We can kind of talk through what do those things mean and, explain how that works and how DSHS will they're required to help you find a new Medicaid pathway if one doesn't work for you that you had currently been in. And so helping people to really understand and learn about their benefits and know what the process looks like. And one of the things that we're trying to really do here is build a good library that folks can lean on, because the benefit planning services, our planners are great, our team is wonderful. But right now it's April 13th and I think we're now booking out into May. So there can be a little bit of a wait to get in. And maybe it's something where you're like, I'm just trying to find some quick information on some things like SSI or Medicaid or Medicare or SSDI. There's so many different benefits. And under that same tab on our website, and I'm not sure if we said it, but it's just Benefit U, so BENEFIT, then the letter U.org. And then when you get here under this, so if you've got questions about SSI, this would be a great place to look under our SSI tab. And what we're building here, over on the right side of the page, we've got a number of resources. These are all going to be handouts. They're things that are going to be helpful, that help you think about, like, how does SSI work? For example, this Give It Your Best Shot. This is a great one for folks who maybe are looking to, they receive SSI and they're not certain how it really works. And they've heard like, well, if I work, I'm going to get less on my SSI check. Just some visual graphics around what happens when you start having some income coming in and how does this look, and understanding a bit of the up and the down that SSI can have when you're earning wages. And so we have handouts like this. We have really helpful tools on the website. Let me see if I can, there we go. But these are great, and a lot of people lean on these. I think some other things that are really helpful is on each of our pages, we're also going to have a video series that walks through those benefits as well. So there's a little drop-down menu here, and you can see this video series. I think it's got 12 videos in here. Yeah, 12 videos. And each of them, they range from about 3.5 minutes to 13 minutes, maybe the longest one in here, but they go through different topics within that benefit that would be really important to know or of interest. Things like work incentives, things like the reporting cycle, things like how to report wages to Social Security. So we try to cover a lot of those things so you've got those tools at your fingertips. And it's always great when folks come through communities and provide a presentation, but what's hard about that is sometimes that information, there's so much of it, and there's not anything to refer back to if it's just a presentation that is there and then gone. And so this gives you a place that you can go, you can find information, and you can refer to it when you need it or have questions. So this is great for families. This is a great tool and resource for transition teachers, any educators to know about, employment providers. It's a handy thing to have in your pocket because of the resources that we put. And a few things that we're making sure that we do. We have the video series right now also up here with an ASL interpreter going through the whole series, as well as a Spanish version. We're working on getting one more language. We're kind of doing some data gathering around what the next language will be to make sure that we're meeting community needs on that. But we're always looking to increase the accessibility to folks in a variety of ways with this. So these video series are great. And then this video, a lot of folks like around SSI as well. It walks through the calculation. How does it work when you've got income coming in and you're receiving SSI? That's such a big question that we get regularly. And so this is it's a 9-minute video. It's animated in this style that you see here, and is just a great tool to help understand some of those things. And so we've got that for SSI. And then the other cash benefit that folks often receive, either that childhood disability benefit, or it used to be called DAC, Disabled Adult Child. That's called a Title II benefit, and SSDI is another one of those. And so you'll see a similar setup on each page. We've got a video series around these as well, and some of the major things that you might want to know about that, including work incentives that can change the amount that you can earn and still get your Social Security check and stay eligible for that benefit. So really good tools on these pages here around the cash benefits. And then next up is those medical benefits. There's often a lot of questions about Medicare, Medicaid. How do they work? What are my options? What are the things that impact those benefits? And like I mentioned earlier, the thing that folks often with the communities that we work with the most are most concerned about is that Medicaid eligibility. You can take my check, but I need to keep that Medicaid in place. And we understand that. And so helping folks to understand how those things work can be really helpful. And understanding things like, even if your SSI check goes down to $0, you can still earn quite a bit and stay eligible for your Medicaid. And those are things that people often, because of some of the it's kind of like a game of telephone that will go on sometimes, that a person says, here was my situation and I lost my benefits, and then it gets passed on from one person to another. And there becomes a little bit of fuzziness in kind of how things actually happen. And so we want to help clarify on those things. So great information here about some of those major medical-based benefits that folks may receive. Things about like the Apple Health, the healthcare for workers with disabilities, which is a great option if you are somebody or have a loved one who is working a job and earning quite a bit of wages above maybe resource limits or income limits for your Medicaid eligibility. It's a premium-based program and that you can pay into, but be able to maintain that Medicaid coverage and still earn a really good wage. And so having that information is helpful. Another area that I feel like people really appreciate knowing about is the saving strategies. That many folks know that if you are receiving a Medicaid benefit, oftentimes that comes with what they call a resource limit, where you can only have up to $2,000 for an individual or $3,000 for a married couple in resources, so cash in the bank, things like 401ks or retirement plans. all of those things fall under that resource lid of Medicaid. But there's programs out there like special needs trusts, the DD Endowment Trust Fund, or ABLE accounts that allow you to put money into these accounts that don't get counted as resources by Social Security. So you can build wealth. An ABLE account, you can put up to $17,000 a year and up to $100,000 into it before it starts to impact your SSI. And so those are things where we want folks with disabilities to be able to build wealth and plan for the future and be able to save money in a way that lets them do the things that they want to do in their lives. And so knowing some of these tools and resources that are out there really allow for some of that in ways that you couldn't previously. So trying to make sure that folks know about these great programs that are out there. And one of the big questions that we'll get is, well, which one should I go with? An ABLE account or this DD Endowment Trust Fund, if they're choosing between the two? And good news, we've got this cool handout that's been put together that puts them side by side and talks about the differences between the two of those. And, what's the advantages? Why would you want one? How do they fall from a legal perspective? What do they look like? So a lot of great information that'll answer so many of your questions when it comes to these sorts of resources out there. And so we just want to encourage folks to check these things out. Oops, wrong page there. That's our booking tool. These are all things that we offer. And poke around, see what you can find, share this resource with folks. And then there are things that are kind of outside our specialty as well. Things that maybe each community has their own, like their housing authority. Each community's housing authority has their own sets of rules. So it's hard for us to speak to those sorts of things, but having links to those resources are really helpful. So there's things, different programs that we'll link to within our site. The basic food program here is a great one. Affordable connectivity for folks who maybe need support with internet connection. And then if you're not familiar with Washington Connection, because we love plugging other people's stuff too, Washington Connection is a great site to check out if you're looking for other benefits that you might be eligible for. And so we link to this site on from the Benefit You site as well, where you can apply for benefits, you can find other services, and just a lot of different resources here. And so we've got that there. And then lastly, under this additional resources page, we've broken out a lot of the key sites that people will often ask us about. You see a number of these Social Security sites here. If you don't have a My SSA account, these are great ones where you can find out information about your benefits. Anybody can open one. I have one. It's a great place where you can see where you're at as far as some of those work credits that you can earn as you're working towards eligibility for a benefit like SSDI, which eventually leads to Medicare coverage as well. So we've got those. We've got some other Medicaid and Medicare resources here, food and housing resources, and then some local advocacy groups as well that may be able to be leaned on there. So lots of things that you can find here, and just want to, again, encourage people, check out the site. Social Security, it's confusing, but we hope to be able to make it a little easier to understand. And if you're feeling stuck, do come and request an intake with us. One of the cool things about our services is that it doesn't require a referral from a case manager. It doesn't require an authorization to be put in place. And so that's one of the great things, is that through that booking tool that we have, when you select what you want, so a new customer, you can come in here, you find the day and the time that works for you, you select that, and then we'll send you a couple of intake forms to fill out, and that kind of gets you in the chute. Pretty straightforward. So, Angela, anything else you'd like to add to this? I know I just talked a lot. I tend to do that.
I think you covered all the resources that we have and the tools. So I think it's just more that we want to have people explore the website and see what we have out there. We're adding new things all the time. We were just recording some more the other day. So check it out and come back again sometime soon, because there'll hopefully be more up and added. So
yeah. One thing before we go to questions and things like that, but I had mentioned earlier overpayments and some of those scary letters. Just a key thing, because I know this is something that does come up from people, and oftentimes you get that letter that says, hey, you've got 30 days or 60 days to respond to this. One thing I'll just specifically point people to is this handout that we've put together. And as Angela said, we've been recording content. It's specifically going to be about how to manage and navigate overpayments. But this one here, this overpayments, what are my options, is really helpful, because it breaks down what are kind of the different ways that you can go about either trying to resolve that without having to pay it back, depending on the situation, or the other options as far as things like a negotiated rate or a payment plan that might be available to you if you do have to pay back some of those overpayments because maybe income wasn't reported, or a benefit was just received at a time when maybe it shouldn't have. And unfortunately, those are things that you find out about after the fact, and we realize that those can be pretty stressful. And so just knowing that there's some resources over here if you happen to have an overpayment that comes up, hopefully that's helpful for folks. So, yeah.
Thank you for joining us for today's benefit planning informational presentation. For more information, give the ARC a call at 360-537-7000 or visit us on the web at www.arcgh.org.